I remember you mentioned, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that I don't know if there was a utility or anything out there to show file conflicts easily. So I just went ahead and threw this together. It uses the exact same framework as the other utilities, but it actually uses some of the other libraries that are available. Well, some of the other custom libraries that I've coded. It uses the games library to open a game configuration. It uses the load order library to load and process libraries. It uses the plugins library to parse plugins, and it uses the BSA library to parse the file names to get the file name list from the BSA files. The actual parsing of the files is can be done using the utilities library with the parse data file, and then you just give it the format of the file. There's some formats included. That's how the information is parsed. But to show you, and it's just kind of something I threw together. So again, it's just very quickly developed, and it literally it takes a load order. It's either going to take your current. It's either going to take the load order that you pass it, or it's going to take the actual load order for the game. And the difference is when you pass a load order to this application, the plugin names need to be their fully qualified names, meaning that in order to access the archive files, the resource archives, the BSA, or I call them BSX, because it would be like a BA2 or a BSA file. In order to access those, I need to know where the plugin is. So the plugin name, the actual plugin name, like let's say it's xdi.esm, there needs to be a path on top of that. So there needs to be a fully qualified name for each plugin. Therefore, I can go to that folder and then I can retrieve the BSA files associated with that plugin. I can then open those BSA files up, and then I can generate a conflict dictionary. The conflict dictionary, oh, and I'm gonna put, like, a little search label, like, up here. I'm gonna put it down here so it's, a little bit more intuitive. But the actual, conflict database, basically, it just creates a database of all of the resource files, including loose files in the game. It'll create, like, a database of these resource files. And, the resource files are anything from, sounds, XML files, you name it, any file that goes into the game. And I filter out, normally I don't do this, but for this application, for this particular one, and I'll upload the source with it so you can see it. I actually filter out from the conflict database official files. So you could actually go in and leave official files in there, but I figure that most people, when they look for conflicts, they're really not wanting to see the official files. So, for example, if Fallout 4's ESM, if the actual main ESM has a resource file that, let's say, a workshop overwrites, which is also, official, workshop, contraptions workshop or something. If that overwrites it, it's not something that a person would want to see. It's real easy to change the code. It's probably not even a couple lines. You just comment out and it'll show you every single one that pops up. But for now, it helps me to filter out only third-party mods. So it will still show you the locations of, like, let's say, for example, there is a conflict. It'll show you all the sources for that file listed in plugin order. So everything is taken in plugin order. So for example, and this search field right here that I'm getting ready to use, let's just do workshop for an example. Let's do workshop script. That particular search field handles partial names. It'll handle wildcards. It's either partial names or wildcards. So this right here is from my load order, and you can invert it if you want to using Control M, and that's just a function in the pipe. Everything is a function in the pipe. And I just copy the code from the main application over into these little standalone applications, and there's really almost 100% compatibility. It's just copy, paste, and go, recompile and go. But you can see where the last one comes from Workshop Framework, and the first one actually came from the unofficial patch. Now remember, it doesn't show, it's going to omit. Now I don't know if everybody needs to see that or not, but it's going to omit the official files. So just let me know if you need to see the official files, and it's something that can be easily changed. I could probably put a little toggle button over here or something where you can just toggle the option on and off. But let me show you this. So you can actually do, if you want to see a partial name, well, let's do workshop. Okay, we're going to look at a partial name. And there's about 600, almost 700,000 files total, I think. It's probably going to be more than that. But I think there was 230 that showed up as an actual conflict when I was doing testing. So these are all of the actual files that show up that have workshop in it. Now, these right here, you can see workshop rearranged, kicked in a lot of them. So let's say that and again, all of the with lists, with all these different list views, everything still applies. You can still look up workshop script. You can still do a find, right? You can still see all of that. And you can still do a find, or if you want to, you can still filter the text. So if you want to filter it based on SS2, and it's the exact same filter file. It's just the same filter file. And you can see every occurrence you can pull down here and you can see how many. So that way you could look for specific scripts. You could use the filter to filter for specific scripts that you're looking for. Another thing you can do, so that way you can just remember, you can always filter, you can always do find and always do filter. That's a common function across the board. You can do plus and minus if you want to make these bigger or smaller. See, you can do bigger, smaller, and all lists work the same. If you think that helps you see it a little bit better. Another thing I added, which was real easy because it was just simply copying from the main application, the main GUI interface over to this application, because most of it is pretty much library calls. Opening the game configuration, that's a library call. And then opening a load order library call, opening plugins, that's all done in the load order library. And then all I had to do was to open the BSA files and then get the file lists and then just kind of add everything to the conflict database. I'm going to move that I think I'm going to move that code over. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the code from this program and I'm actually going to put that method into the load order library, and it's going to be the same for the plugins. There's another method I'm going to add to make it common across the board, and that way you won't have to really go in and code it out. But you can just keep looking. Like for example, let's say you wanted to do a wildcard, like you wanted to do let's say you wanted to see the Swift files. I know that comes up a lot. So this will show all of the Swift files, and these are in load order. So you can literally see that here this right here is a loose file because it's not in a BA2. So there's a file in my game folder that is loose that is going to override everything. That's when you see data. These are all loose files. Now, it probably would be possible. It'd be easy to put like a little notification in here to say like a little icon, because icons and displaying this list, this is all in the libraries. It really is. It's so simple to use. And you can output little reports very, very easy. Here's an example of a report. Well, But let me finish with this. So that's pretty much all there is with this. You can just keep on searching. It uses wildcard searches, partial name searches. You could look for like examine menu if it's there. And it does have to, and there's the examine menus. You can see they're all loose files. They're all datas. They're data files. Um, let me take a look at that. I think I have a little click. I think I still have an event left in there. Let's try that again. Yeah, I think I still got a, I guess there was just one. I'm not sure what I had previous to that. Oh, you know what? It wasn't done. That's what it was. It wasn't actually done bringing it up. But yeah, there's the only one for examine menu. I wonder about main menu. I'm not even sure there's gonna be like a main menu Swift or something. No, looks like it's one. Yep. Looks like it's one. Okay, so I went ahead, and then okay, so on to the next little thing. So it still has the same kind of system where it's got user buttons, and I'll put the user buttons. I'll put the code in there for user buttons. Shouldn't be that hard. I'll use the designer code from the libraries, and then um, I'll just link it. All that stuff will be done using library calls, existing custom DLL library calls. It'll be fine. But I can retro it back. But what you do is this is an example of a report. So this actually uses the load order library to generate a report that the main application uses the same thing. And it'll actually tell you. So it actually has floating tool, like a tooltip or a hover. That's actually a hover. So it'll tell you what the problem is, or at least what it actually flags. Same. So, and these records right here where it's over 2048, I don't think it meant 2048 records. I think it means 2048 unique form IDs, but don't quote me on that. But from here, you can do things like, for example, you can do things like I put these two features in here as well. So these are where you can actually see the plugin masters, or you could see which plugin has that as a master. So let's keep looking here. Let's try. Let's see. What would use? I don't think anything uses Karma. Let's see. What's one that I got? How about unofficial patch? There we go. So you can actually see which plugins in your load order actually uses the unofficial patch, as one of its masters. And this helps you locate, it'll help you locate them pretty quick. There is, this doesn't really show this doesn't show the actual plugin. There's more information you can get on plugins, and it's actually over in here. It's going to be over in here. See plugin views here. This is actually part of the load order library's localization, and these are different views that you can toggle between. You can, like, and you just hit like, and I don't think I have that in here yet, but you just press like a function key, which key map calls an opcode in that function pipe. It calls a code. It queues that up in the pipe, and then the pipe processes it and goes, oh, you want me to do this function on this list, and then it increases. It gives you a different view. I'll put that in here in just a few minutes, but I just kind of wanted to show you what this is and show you where it's at. And it's very simple. It's very basic. It uses pretty much the library itself. There's not much custom code to it. So you have the template, copy and paste from the main app, and then some custom code that's not in the main app, and you're good to go. All right, so I'm going to hop off here and take a look at putting that function code in. And then I'm going to hop off and kind of take a break for a little bit. And as soon as I get it done, I'll pack it up, throw it with the package, and link everything back up. So yeah, I hope it's something everybody can use. And if you need anything or you got any suggestions, just give me a holler or post it up in the thread, and yeah, it'll be good. All right, I'll chat at everybody later.